Hello, my name is Brian Canfield, and today we're going to unravel more of the mysteries of glass. In particular, we're going to discuss how to cut glass and make particular shapes of great quality that are going to add a much more advanced technique to our projects for a higher quality project in the end. And glass cutting is fundamental. It takes a lot of practice, and today we're going to discuss some of the basic skills. But most importantly, we're going to start out by discussing the safety of cutting glass. And in particular, more than likely you're going to end up getting cut at some point. That's inevitable. But more importantly than that, we need to also protect our eyes, and having safety goggles such as this, which these are big enough to fit over my prescription glasses, and also mask off any glass that's going to go towards our eyes, be it the top, the sides, or the front. If you don't have prescription glasses, basic safety glasses such as this would be fine. Again, the bigger, the more protection, the better. If you get cut, of course, you need to have some Band-Aids around, and that typically happens by touching the side of the glass. But also, you can cut yourself by swiping the surface in which you're working on. So another good, important safety tool and cleanup tool is going to be your broom and a dustpan to pick up any debris on the surfaces. Now, a golden rule is never use your hand to wipe away that surface, because you're going to have glass shards after cutting the glass. That, of course, can cut your fingers, cut your hand, and we don't want that to happen. So moving over to the Elmo, we'll start to look at some of the different tools that we need to cut glass. And primarily, the most important one is going to be your glass cutter. Now, the basic glass cutter that's out there is the Fletcher. It's relatively inexpensive, but it can be quite painful over time using this a lot in a long period duration of cutting glass, and especially for myself, because I have a bad knuckle, a bad finger. I can't put a lot of pressure. So when you're going to buy a glass cutter, you need to consider your physical limitations, such as maybe arthritis, or you have some sort of impairment with your hand, and try out different styles of cutters. And the one that's going to be most comfortable is the one that you should probably use in the end. For me, I love the pistol grip, ergonomic glass cutter. Easily fits into my hand. I don't have any pressure on my finger, and I'm able to cut glass with high quality precision. But again, it takes a lot of practice. So with cutting glass then, we need to think about some basic principles, such as we have a glass cutting wheel here. This thing rotates. It's made of tungsten. It's actually of a greater hardness than glass. Therefore, like a diamond, being higher on the Mohs hardness scale, it's going to score and create a weakness in the glass. And that weakness then we will use to manipulate the glass into its shapes and break along that score line. This roller blade, you saw that when I applied pressure onto the glass, I'm rolling it with a good amount of pressure. You heard that nice sound, and it again created that score line. Another tool that's very important is your Sharpie, because when we start to make shapes on the glass, I can draw with that Sharpie, and I can move that piece of glass around. And also, if we were to use a template on the glass, I can outline that template with that Sharpie, a really important tool. So cutting glass then, one of the golden rules when we do a straight cut or any cut is to start on an edge and end on an edge. And it can be the same edge starting here, ending there. We can start on this edge and end on that edge. You do not want to stop in the middle of the glass. That's pretty important. So here you see that I'm starting on this edge, a good amount of pressure. I'm running along the glass, stopping on the far side. Now to break the glass, I'm using my fingers, which is something that, with practice you'll get confidence, and you should feel comfortable with breaking it with your fingers. The action that I'm doing, it's kind of like breaking sticks over your knee. You're going to have that downward pressure on both sides. And notice I have my fingers curled, thumbs on the top. Nice pressure down and out, and it broke just like butter. Should break relatively easy. If you find that your glass isn't breaking very well, maybe you need to add a little bit of pressure to it. And also, a lot of these glass cutters have oil chambers, which oil will also help in cutting glass. Sometimes you may need to add a little oil. So for this cut, that was our straight cut, relatively easy. The next cut we're going to do is called an outside cut, and you need to start considering what is expendable and what is the piece that you want to keep, the shape. I want to focus on this, let's say, setting sun piece, and then everything on the outside is expendable. I can break that away. I don't really care if it breaks, but the one on the inside, that star shape, I don't want to break. So with that in mind, I'm going to start on an edge. I'm going to run along the black line. And then sometimes if I need to switch, I just kind of let up on the pressure, spin it, continue on with my cut. I try not to bring my cutter off the glass. If I start, I need to finish that. If I'm going to apply pressure now to break this, you have to think in terms of movement of energy. And when the energy of this break occurs, it doesn't necessarily break all at once like that. It actually will break and run along the glass. Now, we don't really perceive that with our eyes, but that's what's occurring. So we have this movement of energy moving away from where you're applying pressure. Now, with inertia and the movement of energy, it's applied here because this is a curve. And just like a car on a road, you know, if you go too fast, you're going to go off the road. Same thing with this brake. If I apply the pressure, more than likely it's going to run along this curve. It doesn't want to go all the way around, and it's going to run off the road, and hopefully it does that. There you go. That's no big deal though. Remember, this is the expendable piece. We just keep on breaking all the way around. No problem. There we have a nice shape. That's what I wanted. Everything else I'm going to throw away into my cardboard box because I don't want to throw glass away in trash. It can poke through the trash bag and of course cut somebody that doesn't know there's glass in the trash. The next cut that we're going to do is a little more difficult. Excuse me, I'm going to get my broom here. Clean the surface real quick. The next cut we're going to do is going to be called an inside cut. Now it's the same pattern, but this time we're going to focus on the outside glass and cut away the inside glass. This is our expendable glass. I'm going to start with the same cut that I did last time, starting on an edge, going around, moving my glass if I need to. But instead of breaking it so that it actually can go off into the piece that I want to keep, I want to actually control that by putting in relief cuts on the inside here and chipping away that inside glass. That's my expendable glass. So I'm going to do another cut before I break. And here's where the breakers, the combo pliers, can come into play. And notice one side's flat, one side's curved, very specialized. You cannot buy these at a normal hardware store typically. They only come together at a point. And when you break glass with the combo pliers, make sure that your flat side is up. Look, I put an X there to always remind me. Just like using my fingers when I'm breaking the glass, now I'm going to come in with the combo pliers, flat side up, perpendicular to this score line. I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure and break it out. Then I'm going to continue on chipping away. And I do multiple cuts sometimes and then I break. For those of you beginning, you should probably consider cutting and then breaking. I put a little bit of pressure there. I heard it crack. Put a little pressure on this side. Just chip it away as we go. And I don't care how that breaks out. And notice all those little shards. That's what you don't want to put your fingers on, because that's what's going to cut you. Come in with the broom, get rid of this, put it in my cardboard box, and continue on. Now, as we get into stained glass and different art projects with glass, you're going to have some kind of template to cut out. Doesn't matter, typically most glass is going to cut and break the same, regardless of color. Thicker is going to be a little more tough to break, but color, no big deal. Now texture, maybe that's a big deal, because what you don't want to do is cut on the textured side, but most glass is going to have a smooth side. So when you put your templates down, make sure you're putting it on the smooth side, otherwise it's going to be difficult. So here I have a template already cut out. This is the shape that I want. I'm just going to take my Sharpie and go around the perimeter. That way I can move that template, no big deal. And I have that permanent shape on there I'm going to cut out very quickly. Thinking about the economy of glass, very usable. I'll put that to the side. And then the rest I'm just going to cut away. Cutting on the inside of the black line, following that curve. And then I'm going to come in with my breakers or my fingers and break those away. Again, coming in perpendicular, flat side up, good amount of pressure, breaking away all those pieces. Right there, you got to be careful with that little piece. Then I'll put it on my template, not too shabby. So with these high quality shapes and intricate cuts, that's going to give you a greater depth of intricacy and complexity for your projects. Coming over here, say that I haven't done quite so well on the glass cutting and I need to modify it a little bit. That's where the glass grinder can come into play. Now this is just like a sander for wood. You're going to modify the edges a little bit, and it's a rotary blade or a rotary tool that is diamond encrusted. It's harder on the Mohs scale than the glass, therefore it's going to take away some of that glass. You turn it on, it spins, it's water fed, you need that lubricant in there, and you just simply apply pressure and grind away whatever mistakes I may have had all the way around the edge. And again, using your safety goggles is very important, safety shields. That way you don't get the debris into your eyes. Coming back over here, we're going to look at a stained glass piece, leaded stained glass. And if you look at the intricacies of these particular shapes and letting them together, those pieces have to be cut perfect. And practicing your glass cutting, knowing how to use that grinder is going to allow you to get these nice, precise seams so that your leaded, your copper foil, your glass fusing projects are going to look great and you're going to feel great about it. So that's all we have today, and I hope to see you again soon.